Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sorry, I wasn't ready, never ready. There we go. Heavenly Father, bless my brothers and sisters who hear this message. Give them understanding, give them peace, the will to do as you please, not as we please. Let them know that you love them, you care about them, and you're not going to forsake any of us, no matter how hot it gets. We stand by you and you stand by us. We're riding this till the wheels fall off. Amen. You're welcome. All right. So we were talking about Jezebel and the house of Ahab. King Ahab and King Jehu, who came in and through Jezebel had the servants throw Jezebel out of her tower, and the dogs ate her up, just like the prophet in 2 Kings talks about. He says, and the dogs, verse 10, 2 Kings 9, and the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the portion of Jezreel. The portion of Jezreel is the vicinity. Back then, areas, the portion of Jezreel, I'm not sure whose portion that was. I think it was on the border of Judah and Ephraim. That was part of both portions. Jezreel is probably the closest thing you could get. The Valley of Jezreel is probably the closest thing you can get to a place where the northern and southern kingdom could claim. That's why it said portion of Jezreel. It's like telling you, that that's a border town between the northern and southern kingdom. Anyway, so we're looking at Jehu. Jehu was he got anointed king in 2 Kings 9 to take out Jezebel and Ahab. The Lord sent a prophet, and Elisha the prophet called one of the children of the prophets and said unto him, gird up thy loins and take the box of oil in thine hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when you come thither, look out there, Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat the son of Nimshri, and go in and make him arise up among his brethren and carry him to an inner chamber and take the box of oil and pour it on his head and say, thus said the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then open the door and flee and tarry not. So this prophet goes to the army of Jehu, and he tells them, and he anoints him king, and he tells them, this is what you're going to do, king. You're going to smite the house of Ahab and avenge the blood of my servants, the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord at the hand of Jezebel. Some of us are fighting this Jezebel spirit. I'm one of them. I can't help myself when it comes to this wickedness. And I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah. And the dogs shall eat Jezebel in the portion of Jezreel, and there shall be none to bury her. And he opened the door and ran. And Jehu came forth to the servants of the Lord. And one said, Is all well? Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? Why did this madman come? Who's the crazy prophet? Jehu? Who was that madman? And he said unto them, You know the man and his communication. You know his babble. You understand what he's saying. You know his chit-chat. You know his rumblings. You know his grumblings. Don't pretend like you don't know what he's saying. Jehu said to the guy, You guys know what he said. Don't pretend like you're dumb. And they said, It is false. Tell us now. And he said, Thus and thus. And spoke he to me, saying, Thus said the Lord, I have anointed thee king over Israel. Then they hasted, and took every man his garment, and put it under him on top of the stairs, and blew a trumpet, saying, Jehu is king. So I wanted to go into wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? It has a reference. Where did this crazy guy come from? Where do these crazy prophets come from? That talk things that no one can understand. Wherefore came this mad fellow to thee? The reference is in Jeremiah 29:26. Went the wrong way. Jeremiah 29:26. Where did this crazy shit-talking prophet come from? Jeremiah 29:26. The rebuke of Shemaiah, verse 24. Thus shalt thou also speak to Shemaiah the Nehelamite, saying, Thus speak the Lord of hosts, God of Israel, saying, Because you have sent letters in thy name unto all the people that are at Jerusalem, and to Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, and to all the priests, saying, The Lord, key verse, has made thee priest in the stead of Jehoiada the priest, that you should be officers in the house of the Lord. For every man that is mad this is the law of first mention. The law of first mention is where in the Bible is the first reference of prophets being madmen. He's mad. He's mad. He's mad. He's a madman. The Lord has made the priests in the stead of Jehoiada the priest, that you should be officers in the house of the Lord. For every man that is mad and maketh himself a prophet, that thou shouldest put him in prison and in stocks. Now therefore why hast thou not reproved Jeremiah of Anathoth? Why is it you're fucking with all these other crazy prophets, but you're not fucking with the Benjamite? Jeremiah was a Benjamite. Anathoth. When you see that city, Anathoth, just think of arrows and rocks flying at you. Because that's where the fucking prophets of Benjamin come from. Those are my people. Why aren't you fucking with Jeremiah? You fuck with all these other crazy guys. Why don't you fuck with Jeremiah? Now therefore, why have you not reproved Jeremiah of Anathoth, which maketh himself a prophet to you? For therefore he sent unto us in Babylon, saying, This captivity is long. Build houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. What did Jeremiah tell people? You're going to be here for a long time. You might as well settle in. The Lord's not ending this captivity anytime soon, so you might as well just settle in. And Zephaniah the priest read the letter in the ears of Jeremiah the prophet. Then came the word of the Lord unto Jeremiah, saying, Send to all of them of the captivity, saying, Thus said the Lord concerning Shemaiah the Nehelamite, because of Shemaiah has prophesied unto you, and I sent him not, and he caused you to trust in a lie. Therefore thus said the Lord, Behold, I will punish Shemaiah the Nehelamite and his seed. He shall not have a man to dwell among his people, neither shall he behold the good that I will do for my people, said the Lord, because he has taught rebellion against the Lord. So, it sounds like they're calling, basically what they're doing is they're calling this prophet a madman. The one over here in Kings. They're remembering the sayings of Jeremiah. Isn't he just another madman making himself a prophet? Like Shemaiah? And Jehu said, just shut the fuck up and do what I say. I'm the king, bitches. So whether it was... See, it mixes in the ideas of men all in this thing. It mixes in all these ideas of men. I'm a prophet. No, you're a prophet. No, he's a prophet. Wouldn't you want to be a prophet too? Drink in the prophet, a prophet. Be a prophet, don't be a prophet. But in the end, what the story's saying is that kings and men of the earth, mighty men, they're gonna get straightened out sooner or later. Everyone does. Everyone has to bear their own bullshit. I'm gonna too. I'm here to stir some shit up, but at a very strange level. 342 subscribers. So Jehu, the son of Jehoshaphat, the son of Nimshi, verse 14, 2 Kings 9, conspired against Jorham. Now Jorham had kept Ramoth Gilead, he and all Israel, because of Hazael, king of Assyria. So they were still... He was ruling over Ramoth Gilead because he buddied up with Syria. Hazael, the king of Syria. But King Joram was returned to be healed in Jezreel of wounds which the Syrians had given him when he fought with Hazael, king of Syria. And Jehu said, if it be your minds, then let none go forth nor escape out of the city to go to tell it in Jezreel. So Jehu rode in a chariot and went to Jezreel, for Joram lay there, and Ahaziah, king of Judah, was come down to see Joram. And there stood a watchman on the tower of Jezreel, and he spied the company of Jehu as they came, and said, I see a company. And Joram said, take a horseman and send to meet them, and say, is it peace? So there went out one on horse to meet him, and said, thus said the king, is it peace? And Jehu said, what hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, the messenger came to them, but he cometh not again. What did Jehu do? Fucked him up. What did the watchman say? He went out, but he didn't come back. I guess it's not peace. Then he sent out a second on horseback, which came to them and said, thus said the king, is it peace? And Jehu answered, what hast thou to do with peace? Turn thee behind me. And the watchman told, saying, he came unto them and cometh not again. And the driving is like the driving of Jehu, the son of Nimshi, for he drives furiously. Furiously. This is one fired up motherfucker, this Jehu. For he drives furiously. And Joram said, make ready. And his chariot was made ready. And Joram, king of Israel, and Hazaziah of Judah went out, each in his chariot. And they went out against Jehu, and met him in the portion of Naboth, the Jezreelite. And it came to pass when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, what peace? So long as the whoredoms of your mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many. And Joram turned his hands and fled, and said to Ahaziah, there is treachery, O Ahaziah. Ahaziah. What's he mean? This fucker is treacherous. This Jehu character is treacherous. This isn't going to end well. And Jehu, verse 24, 2 Kings 9, verse 24, 2 Kings 9. This is where what happens when you get a king. When you start having kings. What'd the Lord do? He turned these fuckers loose on each other. That's why he split the northern and southern kingdom. So that we'd realize we're not supposed to be living under kings. He's the only king, King of kings, Lord of lords. No other kings. The death of Joram. Why was the Lord pissed at Joram? Because he buddied up with the king of Syria, those fucking heathens. I'll just read 3 more verses, then I'm going to close out. Over on the other side, it says, let me see what I got. Yeah. Jehu drew a bow with his full strength and smote Joram between his arms, and the arrow went out his heart, and he sunk down in the chariot. Then said Jehu to Bidkar his captain, take up and cast him in the portion of the field of Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember how that when I and thou rode together after Ahab his father, the Lord laid his burden upon him. Surely I have seen yesterday the blood of Naboth and the blood of his son, said the Lord, and I will requite thee in this spot, said the Lord. Now therefore take and cast him into the plat of ground according to the word of the Lord. And so it goes through, and then it goes all the way to the death of Jezebel. I'm going to skip a few and go to this. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tired her head and looked out a window. What'd she do? She got all dolled up. She got all dolled up. She adorned herself and made her eyes with paint. She put on some makeup. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, had Zimri peace? Who slew his master? And he lifted up his face to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he said, throw her down. So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trode her underfoot. Stomped her down. Stomped her with the horse, with the hooves. Bap, 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 bap. And he said, throw her down. So they threw her down. And he made her, trode her down underfoot. And when he had come in, he did eat and drink and said, go see now this cursed woman and bury her, for she is a king's daughter. Go bury her. She's a king's daughter. Give her a proper burial. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Why the skull, the feet, and the palms of her hands, people? Brothers and sisters? Because you do wickedness with your hands, and you run to wickedness and evil with your feet. It's a metaphor. You walk in shit, you're going to be stuck in shit. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. The skull, that's where all the thoughts, all that wicked thoughts come in. That's how these wicked Jezebels do their dirty work. Their minds aren't right. And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. Wherefore they came again and told him, and he said, this is the word of the Lord, which he spoke by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, is the portion of Jezreel, in the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel. So this portion, this land, this border town between northern kingdom and southern kingdom, Jezreel, beautiful place. That's where all the crops grow in Israel to this day. The Valley of Jezreel, look it up. You'll trip out. That place is like one of the most fertile places on earth. Valley of Jezreel. In the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, this is Jezebel. What's going to happen in the end, people? Nothing they're playing this Jezebel game with us, this queendom. But nothing good's going to grow out of it. And when we get to the kingdom, every good thing that comes out of Judah and Benjamin, northern kingdom and southern kingdom, every good thing that comes out of it, it's because it was fertilized with the fucking body of Jezebel. It was fertilized with dung, with the best fucking shit fertilizer ever. But it's not going to be because of her. We're going to know that it was not because of her, because that's where she was laid out. That's where it was ended. I prophesy that Camel Toe Harris is gonna. I believe she's gonna be I believe she's gonna be president. It's time. It's time for Jezebel to rise up. All right, guys. Hope you got something out of the message. The Lord took me there, and that's what I did. I did what He said. I love you guys. Subscribe if you want to learn some things about the Bible. For real, for real. Word of truth.